I just got out of the shower like an hour ago, and I had a really interesting experience as I was showering. I accidentally switched to the POV of a cow and ended up sitting on the floor of my shower sobbing for like 20 minutes. It was both hilarious and really sad. Hilarious mainly just because it was absurd or random, surprising. But I guess not that surprising because, I think about this topic from time to time, and I recently watched Severance, which is so good, by the way, and it kind of brought up a lot of topics because there are so many interesting parallels you can make from the show to real life. And one of them is vegetarianism. So I figured for today we might as well chat about it. Maybe you'll think it's interesting, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the subject and your thoughts on Severance and what parallels maybe you noticed that I didn't, or that you just want to talk about. So if you don't know, Severance is a TV show. It's super, super good. And the premise is about people choosing to get their consciousness severed, so split into two, creating a new consciousness just for work, and they're separate, so you don't have any of the memories of the work version of you, and the work version of you doesn't have any of your memories. So basically two completely different people, but they both share the same body. And so version A, the original, would drive to work every day, clock in, it would turn to be the other person, they would work, and then that's when their day would start, is right as they arrive at work. And so basically their entire life is only at work for that second persona. The benefit of doing that is that the main person, the original, doesn't have to experience work. They can just show up, basically go to sleep for a few hours, and when they wake up, they get to go back home and still get paid and everything. And that sounds kind of like a very chill job if you imagine it just as going to sleep for 8 hours and then getting paid. Because that's kind of what they would experience it as. And for the second persona, all they knew was work. So in theory, I'm sure people would make the argument that it's ethical because they're not technically a new person, even though they are experiencing life as if they are. And the main person consented, and it's their body, so, you know, I guess that makes it okay, whatever. And for the work persona, they can be mistreated or have bad experiences, and they're not able to fully communicate with their original outside persona. So that makes it really bad for them, because basically anything can happen at work and the outside persona wouldn't know, as long as their body is intact. And even if they do get injured, the company just explains it away. So they really don't have any idea of what's truly going on behind closed doors. So the parallel that I noticed is about how animals can't talk. They don't have a voice, right? So from the human perspective, a lot of us invalidate their experience because they can't tell us. Just like in Severance, the outside persona invalidates the inside persona just because they can't properly and fully express what is happening to them. And because it benefits the outside persona, they don't want to, really think about or, try to understand. It's easier for them just to assume everything's fine and let it be. And the same thing is true in our society. We are born into a world that has normalized eating meat, and we are raised, for the most part, eating meat. It's everywhere. It's convenient. It tastes good. And it has protein. So it makes you feel stronger when you eat it. And, it's historically always been the case, mostly, that people eat meat. It's very normalized. And so, in order to get to the point where you think about it, it takes a lot of steps, right? Because it's inconvenient. And especially if you do enjoy meat and you do crave it because you're used to eating it for so long, it becomes a bit of a nuisance to even think about the fact that these beings are real and they exist. The same way as I'm in here randomly. I don't know how I got here. I opened my eyes one day and I existed as a human, and so did you. The same is true for those animals. They just opened their eyes and they were in their animal body in whatever circumstance they're in, which usually is not a good circumstance. I'm not going to get into horrific details, but they're kept in very small quarters. Everybody's afraid. All of the animals are afraid. They're not treated well. And they are born to die, literally. And so it's extremely tragic. So this is something that I think we all know logically, but in order to really fully know what that means, you kind of have to have that visceral understanding of putting yourself in the animal's shoes. And most people will never do that because why would they? It doesn't benefit them, at least not in the short term. And also having that understanding in your body where it fully clicks what's happening with animals, it's extremely painful, that realization. And I understand why a lot of people would want to avoid feeling that, because we're all connected, and that includes the animals. So when you tap into that, you're probably gonna end up crying at the bottom of your shower too. And it's extremely dense and horrific. But for me, it kind of came about randomly. Like I said, I was in a good mood taking my shower, and then all of a sudden, in my mind's eye, I just was experiencing the POV of being a cow. I was in a big building with a bunch of cows all like shoulder to shoulder with me, and it wasn't about, like, I didn't see any cows I did not see that, but it was more the energy of this intense fear and whatever word is the opposite of hope. Hopelessness. Just knowing that this is not gonna end well, and this is all there is. Just like in Severance, the inside worker, the inside persona, for them, that's all there is. They live in this confined experience of reality, and they never get to see the sun, breathe the fresh air, roam free, explore. They never get that. And obviously it's way worse for animals who are bred for our convenience and pleasure. They live in horrible conditions their whole life, and then you know what happens. So, and like, I don't think it's a nice, beautiful ending either. I don't think that they give them pain meds to make it easier, you know what I mean? Those are real, conscious beings, and the way that we justify it is because it tastes good, and they don't have voices. They can't say no. Convenient, you know? And I feel like, I don't know, it's one of those things that once you viscerally realize it in your body, you can't go back, and it's so obvious. But I'm not judging people who aren't ready for that realization, because my whole life I've eaten meat. I did have 8 months where I didn't, I guess like 10 months. But then I got hungry one day and I got Chick-fil-A, and since then I've kind of like eaten meat every few months. But you know, that's how things go, that cycle of development. You reach these new points of understanding, and then it comes back around. You let it go, you don't force it, but you kind of figure out, like, who am I? What are my values? What am I okay with participating in? And once it reaches that crucial point of visceral realization, your entire body understands, you can't go back. There's no way. And so, for me, I don't know, Severance kind of started that, and then my cow POV in the shower, that kind of sounds funny, but like, I was, that kind of solidified it for me. And having my dog also has helped me really understand that animals are real and they are having an experience too, and they feel things, and just because they don't have voices doesn't mean we can mistreat them. And I know one day that will be understood by everyone and it will be the standard, but right now, we've come so far as humans. The things that used to be widely accepted that are just obviously cruel and evil, a lot of them have changed. Things that were accepted for thousands and thousands of years are no longer accepted because we are evolving and we do understand, and it does not feel good to be cruel. And so, it happens really slowly, but it happens. And, I just think that I just want to talk about it because I know it's a vibe killer and depressing and everything, but they don't have a voice. So I feel like because I've had this experience, I have to say it because they can't, and it really makes me cry a lot, so I can't actually think about it right now or I'll cry again. But yeah, basically that's the journey that I'm on, is being willing to give up short-term convenience and comfort for long-term satisfaction and alignment. And I've already let go of a lot of things in the past that used to be my comfort blanket, but they were not in alignment with my highest version of myself. And eating the flesh of other living beings is certainly not in alignment with my highest self, but I had to come to that understanding for myself. And everybody does, and not everybody will in every lifetime, and that's okay. That's what this is, everyone gets to choose for themselves, but I don't know, I just wanted to tell you about it. And just because something is widely accepted does not mean that it's right, and you know that. So I think it's really good to get in tune with yourself and your own values, not in a judgmental way where you feel like you have to be perfect, because in this world we are all complicit in unethical things. It's extremely difficult not to be in this day and age, and that's where we're at. It's okay. But at least for me, I feel like it's my job to, as I learn and heal and grow and become aware of things, I will hold space for those things and experience them and feel the suffering go through my body and understand the truth of it, witness it, and integrate it into who I am and how I behave in the world. I don't really want to be a part of all of this. Like, the world, it's a very dark place at times, but I am here, and so I'm going to do my best to do what's right and what's really right to me at my core, which for me, that's about not hurting others. That's literally the only rule. So it's easier said than done because it's all so nuanced and layered at this point, which is why you can only really make decisions based off of what's in the forefront of your mind at the time. So I'm taking things step by step, and I'm doing my best to, not do things that I know are wrong. But it's a long journey, and there are many cycles, and basically the best that I can do now is just be present with myself, be present with those around me, and have compassion for everyone, because I do believe that nobody truly enjoys being cruel. Like, not really. I know people may have perverted ways of dealing with reality because of trauma they've experienced, but I think at our core, we all just want to be loved and connected, and some of us are closer to that truth than others, but demonizing people who are far away from it is not the answer, because they need love and understanding a lot. I was gonna say more than anyone, but that's not true. We all need love the same amount. But yeah, hopefully this has been interesting, and I know this topic can be triggering to people who are not ready to think about this, but I'm assuming if you watch this, then you can handle it. And again, if you eat meat, I understand. Last time I ate meat was like a month ago, so I'm not judging you, I'm just sharing my experience, and there's no rush. You can take your time with things and just be in alignment with your center, and that's all you can do is your best. But yeah,